when searching for the energetic match, it really has to kind of line up in all the places. It has to line up in the soul, it has to line up in the heart, and it has to line up in the conscious. And your whole body really, even you can glance at one person and if your whole body is responding in a fuck yeah, then this is a really good start. So I guess when I said outcome, it's when you do the internal work of understanding who you are and you feel like you see yourself pretty clearly and you attract another being who sees you pretty clearly, and you feel that energetic spark on all levels of like mind, body, soul is a fuck yeah with this person. This is exactly where quantum merging can come in, and you can practice all these beautiful things that are in the book, that are in this chapter, and it will guide you into the I am bliss consciousness, and continually be a tool to be able to take you there when you feel like you're falling away from that consciousness. So, yeah.
Varshana, so I'm curious, what would you say is the reason this creative process of writing and communicating with us? What was it for you and Nimbus?
Well, the reason this all kind of came out of us was from our own experience of finding each other and feeling matched up on a very deep level.
Varshana, so in your unique connection with Nimbus, you coined this triple set of words: mystic, erotic, love. And not to all of us, this is these concepts are familiar in experiential sense. Could you say a little bit more about like what is it actually to be experiencing mystical, erotic love?
So there's like love, and love comes in many forms, and there's like the love you have for your family and friends and your best friend, the love you have for your children and your grandma, and that's a very different kind of love often than with your lover. And so, of course, love has to be present for this equation to, equal to its fullness. And so that needs to be there. And when you're with your lover relationship, the mystical, which also encapsulate what we believe is the devotional aspect of sacred love, is a piece people don't develop that much in a lover-type relationship. The mystical is often this sacred space where we worship each other like God and Goddess, where we see the divine in our lover. Wow. As that they are the direct expansion of love light, of the great source. So that is the mystical part. That is the devotional part, and that piece is it's like the triad that is what helps the rocket ship lift off into the bliss. So you have the mystical, which is the devotional, the seeing each other as the divine. You have the love piece, which is, what we have with lots of beings, and we love Mother Nature, and there's lots of ways we share love, and we share love with our significant other, our lover. And that piece needs to be predominant and profound in the relationship too. And then there's the erotic. And this piece often, like once you have kids, the erotic often kind of dies. Or even like there's that what they call like the honeymoon phase. And after 6 months, it's like you're not as attracted to each other. So this piece, this erotic piece, is important that it gets nourished. It cannot die. It must live. It must live alongside the mystical and the love and the erotic. They're the triangle that are going to, be the base of everything for you to have this sacred experience and sacred sex and sacred intimacy. So that triad, from our own experience, what we call love, desire, devotion, what we call mystical erotic love, is absolutely the main three keys that you need to be able to have to awaken each other into this incredible bliss state. And so the erotic, this is something we need to develop. We have a very perverted way of looking at the erotic in the world through porn and even in a film. That's not necessarily really how people have an orgasm or have sex. It's all for show. So we don't have a true good example of what erotic is in a sacred way, in a sacred aspect. So this passion, this, love that you have for each other needs to be ignited by the erotic. So we have to find ways to continually turn each other on. And for some people, just worshiping each other in a very devotional way can be a turn on. And there's a lot of ways we can turn each other on. But that piece must be there for all of this to be able to launch into the stratosphere of bliss. So we talk about this, Nimbus and I talk about this in chapter 1 of how important it is to have all three of these elements with your lover and seeing each other in a very deep and profound way. All these elements have to be there for quantum merging to be able to happen in relationship.
Wow, thank you. And so in your first chapter, if we follow you through the first chapter into the next few chapters of the book, what should we expect to find there?
You're going to get everything, baby. You're going to get anything and everything related to sexuality, related to soulmate, related to twin flame, related to divine flame love, which is even this deeper, more nourished, enriched aspect of loving your lover. You're gonna be deprogrammed by your conditioning in the sensual, sexual realm and by society. And you're going to be given ways of looking at yourself and quote-unquote love that are going to expand your consciousness in ways that you've never actually experienced. There's going to be a lot of new, profound information about love and loving your lover in the highest sense.
Mm-hmm. And would you say is quantum merging directed to individuals or couples?
Well, that's an interesting question because in some ways it's both. You have to have done the inner work, the healing of the wounds, the bringing forth your true self. You have to rise to who you are first. So there's internal work on your own that needs to happen before you can even attract this kind of experience. So that's why my answer is both, because you have to do that internal knowing, that internal forgiveness, that internal healing and understanding of yourself. And then you are now ready to open up to another being to add to this beautiful experience you're already having. So once that person is there, then these practices can absolutely come into play. Now, some of these practices will come into play for the development of your own growth. but they'll really get to expand and unfold once your lover arrives.
Oh. Awesome. I wanted to also, one thing that is coming up for me when I'm listening to your description of this incredible connection, what I'm running through my memories and all that I see, the best forms of love I've witnessed in the movies. And I'm thinking about, Hollywood version of these incredible love-like experiences. That's probably where I've seen the highest. Is your form of merging kind of like that, or not?
I think each couple will have their own experience to a certain extent, but we will all have elements. I think that'll be relatable to each other as we talk about quantum merging, as more people experience that with one another. I think it's like when you're young and you've never fallen in love before, and you just read about it and you watch movies about it, and you're like, oh, I want that, and you think you know what falling in love is, but it's not till you actually fall in love when you're like, oh my God, that's what it is, and you're like thinking about them 24/7, you can't get your work done, you're just like, you're caught up with this deep attraction and crush with this being, with this person, and it's not like anything you thought it was going to be. You thought it was going to be like the book you read, you thought it was going to be like the movie, and yes, there are elements of that within it, but it's still far beyond anything you could have imagined before you fell in love, right? So it's kind of like that. So once you meet your mystic mate, and once you practice these things, there will be things that are similar, but what you experience, I can try to tell you from my own experience, but you won't know until you actually experience it yourself, and then you will go, oh, yeah, that's what they're talking about.
Well,
and it becomes universal at that point.
Mm-hmm. And so what happened at which point of you and your relationship, you guys realized that you just hit something incredible and you decided that this needs to be shared or communicated to others?
Well, I think our passionate lovemaking and devotion and love for one another ignited certain states of awareness. That's the best way I can say it. We were awakening to this kind of I am bliss consciousness more and more. And as we are awakening to that, we were awakening to more of nature being an expression of that all around us. We were awakening to, wow, certain things aren't as important as they used to be. Other things became way more important. Being with my lover became the most important. Nothing compared. No travel, no place, no exercise, no food, and there was nothing that compared to this experience when I was with my love, or when I'm with my love. So there was these awakenings to like what the truth really is about love and sex, and it was moving through us basically, and we felt a calling, like people need to know this is a possibility, like this is a drug in of itself that was programmed and built into our DNA, and we have every right and freedom to be able to live it and express it. And why are we doing this? Like here this gift of getting to merge into the I am bliss consciousness is programmed within our being through our sexuality. And we were awakening to this concept, and it was mind-blowing. So we were like, we have to write about this shit.